This is Let's Talk Tribe, the official Let's Go Tribe podcast, episode 98. I'm your host, Matt Lyons, and joining me as always is Mr. Merritt Rolfing.
Hi.
I skipped straight to you this time. Didn't bother with the topics. We got a few of them, but you know what? We'll get there eventually. Merritt, we just want to know how you're doing. How's it going?
Remember when Alexi Ogando was on the team and I read an article in praise of him? I was just reminded of that.
You're going to look back at 2018 and look at all these. Remember when this guy was here and I wrote an article about him? That's your mantra for this year, is all these random players you had to write about.
Dude, that's my mantra for the last, I don't know, how long have we been writing about the Indians now? What, 2012? You really start mining for things sometime around this point of the year if nothing big is going on.
Ooh, Alexi Ogando threw a curveball today. Let me just dig into that a bit.
Let's discuss the implications of this. What if it's a good curveball? What if it's a bad curveball? And then you don't get to write about the things you want to write about, like Lonnie Chisenhall, because he's broken. He had calves installed. They were beautiful, just shining calves, but they're made of glass. It turns out.
Yeah, remember that guy? Remember Lonnie Chisenhall?
Oh man,
remember happipiness and sunshine and goodness.
You know what's interesting is he was turning into literally everything that was promised, or continues to. He's not like he's dead. But well, I mean, if you look at his batting line from this year, all 95 plate appearances of it, that's basically exactly the hitter you expected him to be. 321, 394, 452. Some walks, more strikeouts, but mainly just powered by his bat. He probably hit what, 25 home runs a year. That's a good, that's kind of what everyone expected out of him.
That's platooning too. I guess it's not quite what he was hyped up to be, right? He was supposed to be a star third baseman, but a really, really good platoon bat in right field isn't the worst thing in the world either, unless his calves explode.
I didn't ever really expect him to become a star of a third baseman. Maybe last year was more in line with what he was. Because last year he was really hitting lefties and righties really well. We got 12 home runs in half a season's worth of work. Slugging, 521. Same exact 126 OPS plus. That's basically the 288, 360, 521. That's basically the player you kind of expect him to be.
Yeah,
and he was that player. And then again, glass calves.
Got to get those calves from Mike Aviles, I'm telling you. I think we talked about that before, but we just got to find a way to get them from him.
I don't understand why you would have any part of your body made of glass.
It was a really risky decision for Chisenhall, but he went ahead with it.
I'm sure they're gorgeous. Like Cinderella's slippers were stylish. They were as they say, Cinderella was the belle of the ball. Does that make any sense? No, because Belle is a different Disney princess.
That's exactly what they say about Lonnie Chisenhall's calves. They were the belle of the calves.
They're the belle of the calf ball. What?
Something like that. Players' weekend was this weekend, Merritt? Were you?
I did.
Did you? Did Chisenhall? Did we even see his jersey? I don't know.
Chiz, that's all.
Oh, it's just Chiz. That's lame. Whatever.
See, I think Chiz Kid would be better.
Chiz, like Whiz Kid. I like that. I can get into that.
Right. See, that's
anything with Chisin is what I want. I want him to join in with the rest of us in calling him Chisin anything. The Chisin cannon, the Chisin tray, the Chisin garbage calves, whatever you want to call him.
Oh yeah, Chisin calf, Chisin glass, all these things.
But anyway, it happened. Mike Clevenger went all in with it. I think of anybody, he was the one who took it the most. Well, clearly because his calves, his cleats a few weeks ago, he had some and got fined, so he was all ready for this, and he leaned way into his hippie aesthetic. He had Jimi Hendrix cleats. He had posts on Twitter with Jimi Hendrix quotes. I don't think anybody did it quite up like Mike Clevenger did. He had his mitt even was colored, which I don't even know if that's legal even on Players Weekend, but he did it anyway. Because remember, it was last year where he got in trouble by the Tigers while people complaining about it.
Yeah.
But then he had the one with the blue flower, and he was sunshine on the back. Because what movie is that where somebody gets traded there?
Remember the Titans.
Yep.
Yeah.
But
my problems, I have many complaints about Players Weekend. No, there's several nicknames I do not like, to be honest with you.
What?
Oh, that's just the 12 o'clock boys driving by outside. That's all. Like that. That's just a little bit of that DC flavor. All right. All right.
So trying to silence your Players Weekend opposition.
For instance, Never been a big fan of Mr. Smile as a nickname. Think it's kind of lazy. That's all.
It's real bad.
G-Rag. I don't know about that one, Greg.
Does anybody not read that as just Greg? Is that
Greg? Cody Anderson has the best nickname though, Big Rig. I remember when he was when he was pitching well, and whenever any the Indians Twitter account, however many strikeouts such and such a player had, they'd put that many little emojis in each one of their tweets. So if it was Carrasco, it'd be 8 little cookies when he had 8 strikeouts, or if it was Kluber, it'd be 8 little robot heads. But whenever it was Cody Anderson, it was always just a bunch of little semis, and I loved it. I don't know why I loved it as much as I did. But
he's definitely a big rig too. I can see that for Cody Allen.
Not Justin was pretty good. Kluber was pretty good. Junior is lazy. Milkman is a classic. Oh, Big Lon was what they put for Chisenhall.
That's a little better. That's better than Chis. Yeah. Big Lon.
But then there's the lazy ones you kind of get bored of, like Raj.
Yeah.
Rivera didn't make any sense. I think Yonder Alonso has both bothered me. I tweeted about it after having a few beers. It was a combination of I'm mad at him for stealing the original Mr. 305's nickname, obviously Pitbull, the American hero, but also something better, like Over, or actually basically I wanted the nickname to be Over because of Over Yonder is where he hits the ball. Come on,
right, yeah.
It's terrible, I know, but they're all bad anyway. They're all terrible. And then of course I think that I have many. Not dislikes, but I'm unimpressed by the modern Indians Twitter account. But their constant use of referring to Jose Ramirez as the GOAT is the best thing in the world. And I think you should have had a little goat drawing in the back of his jersey. Not even the word GOAT, but just a little goat drawing.
The emoji, yeah, it'd be perfect. There was Brad Boxberger did it with his. He had a box and a cheeseburger. That was perfect. And Jose's was kind of cool. That was
exactly.
Enriquito, which is just a little version of Enrique, which I think is his dad.
Oh, that's cute.
Yeah, so his is kind of cool. And even Michael Brantley's is just Junior because his dad is Michael Brantley. That's what everybody calls him. So I guess that's okay, but I still would prefer Dr. Smooth for him because that's his nickname. I don't care what you're called off the field. This is supposed to be what you're called by everybody else, but I don't know.
Hey, you jerk. I know it's your weekend,
Michael, not your dad.
Yeah. I know it's Players Weekend, but screw you.
Pay your salaries.
Also, protein shake is the best thing ever because that's way too good.
Well, you saw Rich Hills, right?
Wasn't it Dick Mountain?
It was Dick Mountain. They made him do D Mountain though, so they kind of ruined it. But I would buy a jersey that said Dick Mountain on it. I don't care what team it belongs to.
There was this book I read when I was 12 or some shit called The Almost Perfect Game, about a kid who goes to a minor league baseball game with his brother and his grandparents, and he always keeps score of the game. But he finds, and his scorecard is signed by his favorite player, who's just a kind of a crappy, also ran way over the hill pitcher who's trying to stick around in baseball. He made it to the majors at some point, but now he's in the minors and he's just kind of getting by on fumes and guile. Anyway, he signed it, and the kid finds out that the thing might be magic because everything he puts into it an inning ahead of time happens. But it seems only if anyway. It's all a long way of saying that the best hitter on their team's name was literally Dick Mountain. And when I saw that, that's of course what I thought of. Anyway, The Almost Perfect Game, that's my book recommendation of the week.
Although I think Rich Hill's actual reason for it is way better. Because there was a teammate who just took Richard and made it Dick, and then Hill.
I'm aware of why.
But the book thing, sure, too. That's something. That's technically a thing. So on Players Weekend, Jason Kipnis, he had his Game of Thrones cleats, which I thought were cool. Francisco Lindor had a bunch of hashtags on his, about anti-bullying and all that kind of stuff. Those were all really good. So I think my problem with Players Weekend is not some of their garbage nicknames, which some of them are garbage.
Really, I'm mad about all of them, actually. Go on.
is knowing that within 72 hours of Players Weekend started, you can be fined again for wearing your cleats. So it's almost kind of disingenuous that they're saying, "Oh, we care about the personalities, get them out there, all this stuff," and then no. When we're done marketing it, you go back to your normal plain cleats.
Well, I mean, we can all agree that baseball is the second or third worst major American sports, at marketing their players. I don't know which one's worse. I guess hockey's pretty good at marketing their stars.
Hockey's getting a lot better.
Yeah. Well, hockey's great. Hockey is objectively the best sport played in America. It's exhausting to watch sometimes. And to be honest, mid-season or regular season and playoff hockey is one of the most, divergent types of play in the world. But anyway, I lost my train of thought. Oh yeah, football is terrible at marketing their stars. They just market the most milquetoast, boring nothings. Like, I'm a Raiders fan, but Derek Carr is boring, and he should not be the face of any advertising campaign. He's boring. Oh God, he's so boring. Just such a square nerd. I lost my train of thought again. Where were we? Oh yeah.
The fact that players are going to be fine. But what they said about Clevenger, I think they said it like right after they fined him. Like, the reason it was kind of snuck in the bottom of their press release for it or whatever, was that they don't want the cleats to turn into walking billboards. Which if that's the total honest truth, I could actually get behind MLB doing that. Because if they open the floodgates altogether, like, you can put whatever on your cleats, eventually there's going to be players who just basically sell ad space on their shoes. And I really hate the NBA and their little patch logo thing. It's not helping anybody. It looks gross. I was
watching the WNBA this weekend, and yeah, they have the much more obvious
soccer jerseys.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so I mean, we already have in America, between that and the MLS, what it could look like. So
right, and anything we can do to avoid putting like more garbage on jerseys, I'm all for. I want to go as far as just having whites and gray jerseys. That's it. We're done. Not even the alternates. That's like the one thing I'm very old school baseball about, is I like just seeing the basic uniforms. Not even the cool like teal colors the Mariners have. That's the closest to an alternate I like. But the rest of them, I just want to see your home and away and your name on the front and or team name on the front, your name on the back and number, and that's it.
Yeah, you are a big loser. I agree. That was mean.
Unless the cleats were, you could do whatever, then I'd be okay with that. Just not ads.
No, see, I mean, just in terms of, listen, I'm almost okay with the idea of a player being able to do that, sell ad space on their shoe if they're making money off of it, because they should make more money. But that merely opens the gates even wider to the team starting to do that. And then, of course, the player becomes an even bigger walking billboard than just they already are for the team, which, of course, is, again, not what we want at all here. So I understand the logic. And
I definitely agree that
some kind of wiggle room there, though. I mean, you could say, like, if it's a charitable thing, but then you go look at a team like was it either Real Madrid or Barcelona, one of the two, that had UNICEF on their jersey for a while, because they were like, well, we've never had they were always like, we've never had ads on our jerseys, but you know what, we're gonna have a UNICEF because it's a good thing, it's a charity. And then they eventually just had, like, Arab Airlines, Emirates Airlines or whatever it was.
Yeah, because you get into like some murky territory there, because you either say somehow word it so you can't have any brands, but then somebody's going to come along and want a charity, and then you got to say no, or you have to do like MLB pre-approved brands or something weird, or like you can't be paid to put stuff on your shoes, but then you can always get around that. Like, they can pay you or just pay you not even under the table, but just in other ways and not paying directly for the shoe, and then you're still good. So
I guess that is the only avenue, is like you said, that just no ads, no companies or anything. It can be simple artwork, and that's about it. But at that point, even that's kind of advertising for the artist, I suppose. I don't know. There was a neat article in Fangraphs today that was even talking about things like this. It was, well, tangentially about it. It was just about, they're talking about LeBron James and his tattoos, and just about who owns the rights to your tattoos and things like that. Because if you play 2K or whatever, LeBron James has all his tattoos. If you play a baseball video game, you'd think that any tattooed baseball player should have all their tattoos as well. I think if I were playing as, to use a name I haven't thought about in a while, Joel Zumaya, he had flames all up and down his arm because he threw real hard. Like, he should have that in the video game as well. But that artwork is kind of copyrighted by some tattoo artist somewhere. So I don't know.
Yeah, that's hard. Even if you say like no ads, you can do like colors of a company and say, "Oh, it's not an ad. What are you talking about?"
Yeah, exactly. Lots of nodding, winking, and smiling. Yeah.
Well, I definitely agree players should get more money. I don't think that they should have to be selling ads on their shoes. I think the owners should be paying them more money. If they're to the point where they have to sell billboards on their shoes to get more money, I think we're in trouble there.
I mean, look at the NBA. I mean, they say, "Oh, we're not making any money," and I'm like, "Eat my butt! You're not making any money." And then also, they're just going to put more ads on. I mean, Manchester United is the most profitable team in the world,
right?
And also, they have at this point, I think, the ugliest jersey in Premier League football right now. It's because it has the big stupid Chevy logo on it. Like, at least the AIG logo was tasteful, if disgusting, because AIG also helped destroy the American economy. But
at least it looked nice on a jersey.
Yeah, at least it had a stateliness to it, Like, that's why I only like Bet365. I think this was on the Watford jerseys or something like that. Mid to low tier teams that have like betting parlors and just companies I've never heard of on their jerseys. Those are my kind of teams.
So, any other thoughts on just the general weirdness or badness or goodness of Players Weekend?
I mean,
that was my only thought about the cleats.
I liked it. I wish there were things that seemed a little contrived that I wish were a little more, genuine. Like they had the camera down in the dugout and like I don't know. The players were enjoying being on camera all the time, but it almost felt like they were. It was almost like hey, there's a camera here. Play up and make a big hit or something like that, or something. I don't know. It just seemed like they were being a little more boisterous than they would normally be when. That's how baseball should be. It's like I'm thinking back to during the All-Star game when they had mic'd up Francisco Lindor, and I don't know, just the whole atmosphere around that game was just very playful and silly. I mean, yeah, obviously they should take it a little bit seriously because I don't know, it's good to take things seriously, I guess. But at the same time, it's just I think that seeming, at least to me, contrived energy that surrounded the whole weekend. They would do the sport well to have that be a little bit more authentic, just all the time. I don't know that, and that's a sustained complaint about baseball as a whole. Is it always has this weird, austere sense of, George Willness to it that needs to, I think, shake if it wants to continue to be a viable idea in the 21st century. Yeah, maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
No, I think you're right, and this is a good first step, but it's still like a very contained, specific thing and contrived, like you said. I think it'd be neat if they encouraged during the weekend you can take your phones more places and share more.
Yeah.
Like you're encouraged to post more on Instagram and Twitter and all that stuff, like behind the scenes stuff. That'd be cool. I don't want to see a set up camera and then they come up and do things like. That's not really the player's personality.
I think that outfielders should be able to have their phones and have Twitter account and just be in the outfield, just tweeting stuff. I think that'd be a lot of fun. Not much is going on.
Like laying on their backs, arms full extended in the air, just typing away on their phone.
Like I'm just thinking back to I went to a Nationals game a couple weeks ago, and Bryce Harper was playing center field for most of the game. And it was an expert move by the manager because the ball was never once hit to Bryce Harper the entire game. So, his defense was sterling. And maybe one pop fly or something like that. So, but that's a lot of time to kill, and you're standing in the outfield. I think we can all remember back when we played Little League. At least me, I was terrible, so I got stuck in the outfield. You have a lot of time to pick a lot of grass. And it's not like that really changes when you get to the majors. I mean, the players are better, but at this point, I don't know. Once you get out of the infield, things get way less stressful. So I don't know. I agree with you. Also some of those uniforms I think should exist more. Not all of them, but I like the Orioles ones. I don't know if you saw those at all. They were bright orange with black sleeves, and the hats were really sick. They were the logo was the swinging Oriole, but it was orange on orange, and for some reason I really liked how that looked. Some of the uniforms are really nice too.
I mean, I disagree, obviously, because they should just have home whites and road grays, but...
That's because apparently you're a 97-year-old man. Where are my pinstripes? Oh,
pinstripes are so good.
Obviously. I mean...
The Brewers alternates are so good.
I think the Mets pinstripes are some of the most underrated jerseys in all sports. Those are awesome. With the orange stripe, right? Do they orange or do they have blue? They have orange and blue, don't they?
I think so, yeah. I watch a ton of the Mets, so I mean... I don't.
Those rule. The Brewers ones are nice. I don't know. Didn't the Mariners have pinstripes? Or the Marlins did have pinstripes when they.
Those were super good. Yeah. When they had an actual Marlin as their logo, that was just flopping over.
Yeah, here's a dead Marlin I just caught. Let's make a logo.
Come to my baseball game. I have a dead fish.
Do you guys serve fish at the park? No fish. What's the point of any of this? Why am I even here? No, but I don't know. I like the pullover look, like those Pirates ones from the 70s, I think, are some of the best with the pillbox hats.
Yeah.
Those are dope.
I miss the old Pirates logo where it's just a crudely drawn pirate. They have it on their side patches sometimes too, but I miss it as the primary logo.
Talking about. Yeah. Or that crappy old Buccaneer. Yeah, no, it rules. Yeah.
If anybody wants to see a really good logo, Google the Erie Seawolves from like the 2000s. It's just a really badly drawn wolf in a pirate costume. It's really good. It's my favorite.
I'm doing it right now, actually.
And after you do that, look up Mahoning Valley Diamond Dogs while I intro this next section, and just admire that logo.
Which logo is it? Is it this pirate dog?
The Seawolves?
Yeah.
All right, we'll take a little aside here and go on logo thing here.
Because we got this. Is it this one? Because they got this pirate dog. They got this.
So the new pirate dog has that E at the top, and it looks like a nice,
Not that one. No, that one's dumb. The other one, the one that isn't symmetrical. This throwback looking one.
There's like crossbones behind it.
Yes.
Yes, that's the one. That's such a good logo.
Good. That's really a good logo.
And then there's one where it doesn't have a head or anything, and it's howling. I don't know why.
Dude, there's one here that's it's a dog's skull, and then has bats, but the handles of the bats are like a cutlass handle. Oh, that's great.
Now you need to take a minute and prepare for this one. Look up. Oh, I forgot the name. I just said it. Diamond Dogs. Diamond Dogs. What is that?
Well, the Diamond Dogs are the group that Big Boss formed in the Metal Gear Solid series.
Hold on, I gotta find this because I need you to see this live.
They were they were an extra, or they were a paramilitary group, and they.
All right. Anybody listening at home? Mohawk Valley Diamond Dogs. Mary, I want you to look it up.
Diamond Dogs, and all I got was stuff.
So do Mohawk Valley.
Mohawk
Valley Diamond Dogs. This is in the PCGBL. It's the very first one, and it's the one you're thinking.
Oh, that's awesome. Wait, so I don't understand this. It's a dog, and he's got a giant bone for a bat, and what appears to be a miner's helmet. Oh.
No, they're not a minor league team. He just has a miner's helmet.
And he's shooting some sort of laser at this ball. I assume to make it hover there, and so he can swing and easily hit a home run.
Now you're missing the diamond earring, which is sparkling.
Oh shoot! Yeah, he's got a diamond earring and a diamond necklace. Oh no!
Studded necklace, and it's drawn. It's paint. That's all it is. It's just some kid's drawing. Like
this is one of the greatest logos in sports history.
So if you click view image on the first Google result, it's some guy who says, "I'll design a better logo for free. Please consider." That's the only comment on the logo.
Hell yeah!
It's so great. And if you look like on their official stuff, like they do good, like decent promotional stuff, and then it's just that logo just sitting there, staring you in the face in the middle of their, because they were the champions last year.
What the hell's a Jamestown Jammer? What's a jammer?
That whole league is full of good ones.
Minor league baseball rules.
That's not even minor league. That's independent league. That's the kind of teams I get to watch around here. Anyway.
Rules. What's the team that turned into the Brats? Wisconsin Brats. What was the team that did that this year?
I don't know.
Anyway, continue while I Google pictures of bratwursts.
So Jason Kipnis, the Indians technically played this week.
Pictures of bratwursts. There's so many of them.
Kipnis wearing his Game of Thrones cleats that he had from Players Weekend. He went 4 for 5 on Sunday with an inside the park home run. So clearly that means he's better. He's fixed. He's not going to be batting below the Mendoza line anymore. We're all saved. Indians going to win the World Series. Tito basically said before the game, before that even happened, he said, quote, "We've talked about everything as we're supposed to do. I know it sounds good on paper, and even it sounds good to me on paper. There are things other to consider. There's other things you have to consider about other than just numbers. So that's probably why he stayed where he is," which is a really big non-answer. It's just saying there's other things. Don't worry about it. He's not moving off second base is basically what Tito's getting at there. And Kipnis said that his biggest issue has always been his hands this season, trying to figure out where to put him to hit the ball. And he figured it out the night before with a rolled-up magazine, and apparently that worked. And we are absolutely only hearing about that because he went 4 for 5. If he happened to go hitless, we never hear about that. If he goes hitless for another like half dozen games, we won't hear about it again. But suddenly he swung a magazine. He's fixed now. Mary, what do we think about Jason Kipnis here? He's not going anywhere. They're not moving Jose Ramirez off third. They're not going to move Kipnis off second. We're pretty much stuck with him for better or worse.
Well, we all know what that also means, don't we? Less Yandy Diaz, which of course we're all sad about. I don't know, man. I mean, listen, it's amazing how one little thing can make such a huge difference in baseball. I mean, I think back of the most obvious example of this is Jose Bautista, who made a slight adjustment to his stride in September of 20. What was the year before he had 54 home runs? But if you look at his numbers let's see, Jose Bautista, I gotta use the Google. But if you look at his numbers in that September, he hit like 12 home runs or something.
That's when he changes his stride a little bit.
Yeah, and again, it helped with his timing, and it helped with all this other stuff. Like there's a reason people didn't give up on him for all this time. But it was let's see, in 2009. He hit like 800 or something like that in September alone. It seems like so long ago now.
Wait, I was gonna say, in 2010, is that when he hit the 54? Was it that long ago?
Yeah, right.
What? That was like 4 years ago.
I know. It's oof. Yeesh. Anyway,
slowly dying.
No time, man. It keeps on doing that thing. I hate when it does this. But suffice to say, like he hit 10 home runs in September, October. So he made the small adjustment, and his OPS jumped 400 points. I don't know. Maybe it's not out of the realm of possibility, but Kipnis has been so terrible all year.
How many games do we need to know, you think? Like, are you satisfied after one game? Like, clearly he's fixed it.
No,
you need
God,
like a couple weeks. Okay.
He was hitting against a man I've never heard of and a bunch of other garbage. Like, I don't mean to belittle the pitchers of the Royals. They're better than I've ever been at anything, probably. Although, I don't know. I don't know. It's a hard thing to say because they're bad at being major leaguers. So, and I've never even had to do that. So, checkmate.
But you haven't lost any games in the majors. That's all I'm saying.
You know, I've never even given a hit, buddy. All right. So I don't know. Again, it's a bunch of bad pitchers, and if he thinks this is what it worked, I don't know what took him so long. Again, maybe it's one of those things you just don't notice for a long time. And he said that his brother called him and noted something also. His brother's a real asshole for taking this long to call him and tell him that. Brothers are the worst, let me tell you.
Yeah, I saw you struggling for a month. I saw this thing.
I was laughing. It was great. Anyway, do this. It could be much better. Thanks, jerk. But no, he's got, a month now? I mean, yeah, if for the next month he hits, not even great, but, just post like a... Because, after I read that, I went and go look at his splits from month to month and first half, second half, and there's no real demonstrative difference between his first half and his second half. He's just kind of been the same 20% worse than average hitter pretty much all year. He's had small blips where it seems better. And again, he got to hit against a bad team. I wrote an article about that back in, I don't know, a couple weeks ago. Like, how can we really judge a lot of the pitching performances we're seeing out of these guys? Because they're pitching against, very, I don't know how good Shane Bieber really is. If you go look at people he's been starting against, they're just not very good at all. But Kipnis, I don't know. He's nothing screams to me that he has more in the tank than we've seen. But hey, if he does it for the next month, then great.
Yeah, I was trying to look at the. Oh, go ahead.
I figured they weren't going to go anywhere from him. Like they weren't going to pick anyone else up, and they're not going to play Yandy Diaz, and we're stuck with Melky Cabrera somehow, some way.
There's that recency bias, man.
It's killing me.
But I tried to look at like every little thing that could change for Kipnis from year to year, and like if you look at the pitches that's thrown to him, where he's swinging, when he's swinging, like all of his contact rates are the same. He's done the same against every other pitch. He's a little worse against cutters this year, but it's not like people are throwing him a ton. So there's no like way he's being attacked. Right. He's just not hitting good, which I don't know if that's good or bad. Maybe it is just his hands, and maybe there's something where he can start driving the ball a little better, and that's all he needs. But I mean, he's still hitting the ball just as hard as he did before. He's got a little bit lower BABIP, and he's walking more now. So it's just really bizarre how he's just hitting worse. That's like the only answer to it. He's just not hitting.
I mean, is it, it's like we're seeing a very similar thing in Bryce Harper with the Nationals, where he's just been bad like all year, but he's just not like, he's still having a good year. He had an OP on base of like 350. He's still slugging like 480 or something like that. So like even if you look at his numbers, it's going to look worse than normal, but it's not going to be bad. But yeah, like you said, it's just I don't know. This is the thing. I'm sure everyone who writes for Let's Go Tribe, anyone who even thinks about the Indians in a more than casual sense, has looked into the stats of Jason Kipnis, going, "What? Why? What?" Like, he's more patient. Like, that's the thing. He's
right,
more
he should
patient.
be better this year.
He's making more contact. He's swinging and missing less. Like, it's so strange across the board. It's just, I don't know. Nothing screams to you, and yet maybe it's all just bad luck. I mean, yeah, his BABIP is 50 points below his career average. So, yeah. I don't know. I always do the lazy thing of add 50 to all his all the numbers in his slash line. Then Alex looks pretty, respectable at least.
And I've grown to just expect that they're just going by the hot hand and whatever. But maybe that's what they're seeing. Maybe they understand that this is just some kind of luck, and they're really hoping he's going to snap out of it at the right time.
I mean, and part of it too may be. I mentioned this in that article I wrote about him and Brantley a couple weeks ago. It's about sample sizes and knowing, how to judge a player. I mean, maybe this is just yet another piece of evidence of shifts taking away, the margins where a player existed in one way or another. You know what I mean? Like, maybe there's just hits. Like, the data is out there. I've seen pictures of it from, guys who work in MLB advanced media and stuff of like how of where guys are shifted on and where hits disappear to and things like that. We don't have access to this data, unfortunately, which is frustrating, but maybe there's something to that. Maybe he's just the defensive positioning on him has gotten so good that the places where his hits usually fall are now gone, and they're now players, and just combined with the increased athleticism across the game. Maybe the margins are just smaller for him, and he just is what he's always been, a slightly above average player, but when defenses on average are maybe just better than slightly above average, he becomes much worse than average. So I don't know. That's maybe something to think about too. I mentioned that with Brantley. How ground balls are becoming less and less of a thing that becomes a hit with each passing year. Maybe Kipnis is hitting less ground balls too, is a thing. So it's a little confusing. But maybe even with the fly balls and line drives, the players are now there as opposed to being, elsewhere.
Yeah, and I like your idea about margins. It's just a slim margin for him because he's never been like not terribly great, but a super great player. He's always been sort of decent enough and above average. And if we're doing even these minor shifts that knock everybody down a slight notch, like his going down just a tiny bit is maybe an 86 WRC plus player. I don't know. I guess.
Yeah. I mean, his best year ever was what, 124? Yeah, 127. Right. Well, yeah, that one. But like, if you look, but I think baseball shifted more in the first 3 weeks of the season this year than they did in all of 2015. So, it's something crazy like that. There's everyone shifts all the time. Defenses are constantly just maneuvering around, and between that, the ground ball is disappearing as a whole. The ball not flying as well this year too is a thing I think people aren't really talking about quite as much. Like, home run rate is down. Not a huge amount, but it's down. I mean, last year was record setting, but home run rate is still down this year. So it's something I've talked about with Yonder Alonso as well. Maybe some of the fly balls that would have gone over the fence for Kipnis are now just warning track shots or things of that nature. So I don't know. Again, pitchers are getting better every year too. So
what's your feeling on the fact that he's here and he's going to be in the playoffs? Is this something to super be worried about, or does he need to rush out right away and find something or anything to replace it? Well, they're not going to, but should they?
No, there's things I'd prefer they did, but they're not going to do them. So right. I don't know. I've always subscribed to the point of view of if there's something you can do about it, there's no sense in worrying about it. He's going to be out there. Again, maybe this hand adjustment is going to be the big key that unlocks his greatness again.
Yeah, that's basically what my article was. I wrote today about Jason Kipnis, the fact that he's going to stick around. I just said the sooner you accept it, the happier you'll be. Because if you look around like Let's Go Tribe game threads and like it's just all hating Jason Kipnis. And at this point, what's the point? He's not going anywhere. It doesn't matter.
No, I know.
You can be mad that Yandy Diaz, he's blocking Yandy Diaz, but that's about it.
Every team needs its scapegoats every year. We've always all had them. Every season, I think I could probably look at it and just and find the guy who I decided that year was, the reason the team didn't do better than they could have. Brian Shaw carried that torch just like a hero. He was just a champion of getting blamed for things that were not his fault for his entire Indians career, pretty much. Before that, I don't know. I can't even think back that far at this point.
I mean, Michael Martinez is those same Brian Shaw years, but it was his fault. It wasn't a scapegoat. He was just bad.
True.
And I looked at poor Brian Shaw today. He is not. It is not going so good bad for him still. His ERA is down to 6-something, but poor man.
I mean, who would have thought that a guy who relies on a pitch that breaks would to throw 75% of the time would suffer in Chicago or in Colorado?
Weird how that works.
No one saw that coming.
Now, the Indians have their own. So his bullpen friend back there, Cody Allen. For the longest time, it was Shalin out in the back of the bullpen. Everybody was angry at both of them. Sometimes people understood Cody Allen was so good. But this year, Cody Allen is not so good. 4 earned runs in his last 3 innings. That includes the back-to-back home runs on Saturday night against the Royals, which was just depressing. It was a total of 4 pitches in that game for Cody. That had to be.
I saw that dude Ryan O'Hearn in single A baseball like 24 times. My nickname for him was Big Hoss, and I heckled him mercilessly. No, I didn't heckle him because I was a big Legends fan. So I cheered him on vociferously. I bellowed his name.
I remember. Speaking of heckling, when Mike Trout was a rookie, I was at an Indians game with him there, and I was sitting in the bleachers, and I remember people yelling at him. Sometimes I think that's what spurred him on to be so good. So you're welcome. Mm-hmm. The people in front of me in the bleachers are the reason Mike Trout is so good at baseball. It's because they
did it, baby. You're welcome, anyway. Hey, we got one of the greatest of all time because of those idiots.
But what is this Cody Allen going on here? He's not good.
Because I wrote about this a couple of weeks ago, didn't I? Just about how he's suffering. Mm-hmm. All the numbers don't tell you a whole lot. His ground ball rate is down, but it was down last year too. Fly ball rate is career high. Well, these are the things, Matt. I think what I discovered was that his curveball is either not breaking as much as it used to, or else he's locating it higher in the zone. Either way, that's batting practice, Yeah. So, yeah, maybe he's bad. I mean, maybe he's just bad now. That's just how it happens with relievers, it happens with any player, really. They just become bad. And it happens at it just happened with Brian Shaw. Yes, he went to Colorado, which doesn't help at all. But again, maybe this is just it for Cody Allen. Maybe last year was his last pretty good year. He's been, I think, something short of an elite closer for 3 years now. I'd say 2014 to 2017, I guess, would be his.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, you give him. He's got 2.62 ERA over that stretch. Striking out 12 for every 3 walks. 26 home runs given up over a period of 4 years is pretty good. So I don't know. I don't know what it is relievers. Their shelf life just seems to be bizarre like that. I remember there were even a couple of comments in that article I wrote, like, why is it this? Why is that with relievers? I don't think it's because they're always throwing max effort, because starters do that too. So I don't know. What do you think? Why is he so bad? I mean, I dug into this a couple weeks ago, and the only thing I could find was maybe his curveball isn't as reliable anymore, and so when he does throw it, it becomes garbage. Then you can't trust his fastball, and thus he becomes more predictable. And sometimes he just looks a little bit like a deer in the headlights out there. So, hey, maybe he's kind of lost his nerve a little bit. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean,
but I don't know.
With him and Kipnis, I feel like we're kind of at this spot where it just comes down to that. Like, we don't know. We've gotten all these numbers, and we're so close to, like, getting a full grasp on how baseball works, and then stuff just starts leaking out everywhere. Mm-hmm. Like, he's just bad, and we can't tell why. Same with Kipnis. Everything's the same. He's just bad now. I guess that's the human element and managing and all that good stuff. Yeah. Luck a lot. He's just bad. I mean, is he going to be the closer in the post? This is another thing where Tito said he's going to stick with him. We might see him in non-closer situations to fix his mechanics again, which, by the way, he did that. He was, quote-unquote, fixed for a little bit, and now he's bad again. So, I mean, if this happens in October, I'm going to burn my Cody Allen jersey that I don't have.
I'm going to go out and buy myself now. Well,
I mean, he can't be the closer in the postseason, right? Like,
no, God, no. They have 2 relievers who are miles better than him.
But he's going to be, though. That's the
but
problem.
Then what do you use him for?
People got to carry bags, man. People got a lot of bags they take between
Really, this is one of the things that we kind of counted on, right? Like they make the trade for the third bullpen arm. The rotation would be healthy. That's hopefully still going to come true. We really need Trevor Bauer to figure that out. The offense
that leg working.
The offense will be enough. Again, still a little bit top heavy, but what can you do? And then Cody Allen and Andrew Miller would come back and be fine. Andrew Miller has, if you watch him, I mean, he looks great. He looks like Andrew Miller. Cody Allen does not look like Andrew Miller. He doesn't look like Cody Allen. He doesn't look like anything useful. So I don't know what you do with that. I know that one of the values of having Terry Francona is him trusting, is how the players trust him and how he trusts the players. But after a while, like you need to do what's best for the team, I suppose, right? Like I think that Jason Kipnis being at second is much less harmful in a short series in the playoffs than Cody Allen pitching high leverage innings. So maybe that's what they do. Maybe he still pitches in late innings, but he's used in lower leverage situations. Maybe he pitches the eighth inning, but he pitches the eighth inning when it's 6, 7, 8,
Yeah.
Or 7, 8, 9 or something like that. He just happens to find his way around the top 5 or 6 hitters in the team, because they have two guys who can take those two, can knock those guys down.
Yeah, that's not hope, I guess, that it's just high leverage that he's bad in. There was no leverage. He was in the ninth inning and the bases were empty, and he just gave up 2 home runs. I mean, it's just he's just bad. I don't know.
2 home runs in a hard to hit home run park against 2 rookies. Like it literally can't look at it's literally the worst situation that could have absolutely. I went to bed early that night because I had to go to work.
Did you really?
Yeah, I was like, I got this locked up. And then I went to check my phone next morning. I was like, what the?
I've done that once or twice. It's the worst.
I was so mad, and then I saw it was Rhino Hearn. And one of them was like, oh, well, I mean, damn. But
no, it's okay.
Big Hoss, you're my hero.
So when Cody Allen's gone this year, so we can look ahead to the non-Cody Allen 2019 because schedules were released. The Indians, they open their next season in Minnesota, of all places, on March 28th.
They come to D.C., so I'm very happy. I'm going to go to the series there and in Baltimore. That's right, people. Woo! Benefiting.
D.C. is the last series of the year, right?
Yeah.
So you're either going to be watching probably a team that's clinched months ago or one that collapsed, and we're all really depressed. So have fun, Merritt.
There's no wiggle room there. I'm going to see a bunch of players that a lot of guys deep in the 40-man roster in those games.
Because if we get to that point, the Indians haven't locked, or if the Twins are ahead of them, that's just awful. Like even next year, the division's going to be awful. So if the Indians don't have everything wrapped up by then, you're in trouble.
I really didn't think about that. Yeah, that's going to be. And the Nationals are going to be really bad because Harper's going to be gone. I mean.
Have we conceded that Bryce Harper's not going back to the Nationals, right? Like,
I don't know. I mean, honestly, I think they're
like a train wreck.
I think they're a better team than people give them credit for. I mean, Juan Soto's a beast. They still have Eaton and Trey Turner, and
they got a couple pitchers, I guess. Strasburg, Scherzer. They're okay.
Yeah, exactly. So they're good. I mean, the top end they're pretty good. It's just they'd really fall into a White Soxian and stars and scrubs situation pretty quickly if they don't, figure something out. I don't know how good their farm system is, though, so I don't know. Anyway.
Yeah. And the Indians, their weirdest part of the season next year is in May. So from May 6th to the 9th, they face the White Sox at home. May 10th to the 12th, they fly to the West Coast and face Oakland. And then 13th and 14th, they go to Chicago and face the White Sox. So that's going to be a rough series. That's like in the middle of 2 weeks straight of games. So in the middle of May, we're going to get some awful baseball, I think, even though we're playing the White Sox.
Explain that to me again. I need to look at this real quick.
So look in May 6th to 9th, they play Chicago at home. May 10th to the 12th, they go to Oakland. And May 13th to the 14th, they go to Chicago and play the White Sox again. No travel days in there. They just play a lot.
Oh, wow, you're right.
Right?
That trip to Oakland sure does suck.
I was just looking at the schedule like, wait a minute. There's no travel days here. And because don't you usually do like a West Coast trip and get all the teams then? Like, they're not doing that. The Mariners are early on in the season.
Well, yeah, that's how they started this past year, or this current year, rather.
Right. It's just all over the place. So
also, it's a 2-game series in Chicago.
Yep. Got to go to Chicago for that. Can't miss it.
That doesn't make any sense at all. And then they have a nice little long homestand against Baltimore, Oakland, and Tampa. That's nice.
And also remember, they start the season in Minnesota, so there's going to be some snow delays. So there's going to be some makeup games somewhere in there. Which, just the fact they're opening in Minnesota is so dumb. The fact that Minnesota doesn't have a dome is so dumb.
I just feel like computers can figure that, because this used to all be done by this couple, right? Like they do the entire thing. There's got to be a way where you can type in the computer, okay, computer, all early season games should either be in domes or in the South for the first 2 or 3 weeks of the season. Figure it out, you stupid computer.
Have we considered that maybe Major League Baseball is just too scared to tell the computers that at this point? Like, they've gotten too smart and they're just frightened to backtalk the computers?
What are they going to do? Just schedule all the games in the Atlantic Ocean? I mean, they could, I guess. You got to listen to the computer if it tells you where to play. You can play in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. All games on top of the Pacific garbage patch. Oh, all right. I guess it's a good way to expand a fan base to fish.
I think secretly somewhere the Major League computers are like on the verge of Terminator, and they know it, and they know if they try to change the schedule, that's just going to set it off. Because that's the only explanation for not having something smarter than starting the season in Minnesota and this weird trip in the middle of May.
Hey, they're going to be in New York in the middle of August. Ooh, for my wife's birthday. Maybe I could plan a trip to New York for her birthday.
Happy birthday. Let's go watch a baseball game for me.
Perfect.
You go somewhere else.
Hey, our second date was at a baseball game. It counts. It's okay. First date, something. I don't know. Whatever. Anyway.
That's the schedule next year. I mean, we've got the All-Star game, too, of course, in Cleveland.
That'll be fun, I guess.
Yeah, I don't care about it. I'm not in Cleveland.
I won't be there. It won't bother me at all. I mean, I was in the place where it was this year, and I barely even noticed it happening. So I probably could have spent a little more time going to the exhibits and stuff. Sure, but whatever. Get off my ass.
So was it a big deal, like in the city?
There were things going
on because MLB makes it seem like it's this big thing every year. Like everybody wants it so bad.
I mean, there was a thing down at the convention center, but there's always something going on down at the convention center. It was more obvious that, like, Otakon was going on the week before. And then there were banners up and stuff. But, like, no, not really. No, the traffic wasn't any heavier than normal that day. No, it was fine. Nothing really impressive, The weather was nice.
That was nice, yeah. Bryce Harper and a couple home runs in the home run derby. That was fun. Remember how big of a story that was for like a day, and now nobody gives a shit. Like, who cares about the All-Star game?
Well, that's the fun of the home run derby, and really any of the All-Star game, and really baseball. Things happen, and you care about it for a day, and it just stops mattering immediately.
I guess that's kind of fun.
Because that's the playfulness of baseball, Matt. None of it really matters ever,
Life is meaningless, and then you die. That's the point of baseball.
Hey, some things matter.
What?
For instance,
Name one.
Weekend, I was watching Club America play. I don't even know how to pronounce it. The Pumas, UNAM, in the Capital Classico, something like that. Classico Capital. I watch a lot of Mexican League soccer. Anyway, they tied the game in the 95th minute, down 11-9. It was amazing to tie the game.
Hold on, I don't watch. What does that mean? Down 11 men to like 2 on penalty or 2 just quit?
Yeah, they had gotten two red cards.
Oh,
and so they were playing with only 9 men, and by all rights should have lost the game, but they drew, which is you salvage at least a point. Anyway, it was quite impressive. That matters.
So red cards don't even stop time; they just get a red card and kick them out, or
they just throw them out of the game. I love it. Red cards rule.
Wait, so what if you get a red card and you refuse to leave? Like you just stay on the field and keep running?
I think that you could do that in FIFA 94, where
you avoid the ref, right? Yeah,
you just run away from him forever, and eventually he gives up. So
what if you do that in real life? Because if you wanted the clock to stop, and you just refuse your red card and keep playing. Have I just discovered the money ball of soccer?
An excellent point, Matthew. I mean, they'll keep on adding stoppage time. I don't know how much though.
They can do that.
12 minutes.
I mean, as long as you're out there, unless they're going to tackle you and remove you from the field, you stop this game, dang it. Anyway,
that was my weekend. Mexican League Soccer.
Every Monday, we ask everybody on Facebook and Twitter for questions. This week,
what do they think of Mexican of Liga MX? Who's going to win it this year? That's the real question.
This week, Facebook let us down. This is all Twitter questions. So thank you, everybody on Twitter. These came in quick, and they were really good questions.
Yeah. Well, we have a lot of great Twitter followers specifically. Facebook, not so much. It's a garbage pile. Everyone on Facebook, dumb.
Anyway, now that we're live on Facebook, hello everybody.
Oh God.
So at Goldberg Dan, he wanted to know, where does Yandy play in your dream lineup? I'm gonna assume Yandy Diaz and not Yadi Molina.
Obviously, I mean Yadi Molina, the greatest catcher of all time, according to Cardinals fans. So,
but where does Yandy? I mean, middle of the lineup, right? Like, as long as he can hit, put him fourth or fifth. I don't care.
Fifth probably. Yeah.
Yeah, he didn't have a ton of power. You don't want him fourth. So
I don't think he's. I mean, that's the thing. I might bet him second.
Yeah, because he's got on base. Like,
yeah, I think that's probably where I'd put him. Actually, I'd put him. Hell, I might lead off with him. Lead off or second, probably, because I don't want to, yeah, I'd want him ahead of the really big boppers just because his skill at pitch recognition and getting on base, I think, it outweighs any kind of power production he has. Unless, of course, he decides to want to hit the ball in the air. So I would say, yeah, first or second, and then you obviously play him third. Yeah.
There you go. At Fudatorius, he has a couple
You're
questions.
Welcome, Goldberg Dan.
His first one. Is it me or the NL trade candidates much more plentiful and attractive than AL players this year? With interleague play and shared umpires and ever greater ties between leagues, the same league first priority seems a bit quaint. So there's two sort of questions in there. The first is, does it seem to you like there's more NL trade candidates than there are AL? I'd say yeah. I mean, there isn't many. It's like Josh Donaldson in the AL, and well, I guess there's more teams. There's not even more teams competing in the AL, right? Like there's more competing in the NL, isn't there?
I don't know. I mean,
the AL is locked up pretty much. I mean, other than like
I guess, but there's a lot of teams chasing.
I feel like there's more in between in the National League. Because in the American League, you're all really good or you're awful, and don't have anything to trade anyway.
I guess what it is the teams who aren't contending in the AL aren't looking to trade anything because they have a ton of good young players. You know what I mean? Or I don't know. Like, why weren't the Rangers more active in the trade market? I guess because the only thing where they really had was Chu, and no one really needed a DH or Beltre and whatever. You don't.
I mean, technically have Odor if they want to trade him, but I don't know what to do. And Joey Gallo, give me Joey Gallo.
Well, that's the thing. These guys are all young still and locked up for years to come, and are flawed players, hideously flawed, but at the same time good.
How dare you call Joey Gallo flawed?
And we've seen how quickly a team can turn it around and become a contender again. You know, like unless you're in the AL East rather, you can. A little bit of luck and suddenly you're a contender. And like and then you have to think about what are the goals of the team. You know, a team like the Rangers, they want to win a World Series, obviously, but they also just want to be good in advance of them getting to their new park. I mean, everyone in the West is contending. Everyone in the Central there's no talent there. They're all rebuilding. The only guys who could have been traded away, they just, were either Miguel Cabrera, he got hurt, or maybe it's just because it's a combination of it's just where talent is that is also too expensive and too old to be a part of the next good team, I guess. Like everyone in the AL is in the middle of a rebuild or is contending. So
I can see that. And what about the second half of this year, the interleague play? Basically, how there's no difference anymore. They still have the same league first priority, which seems a little weird. Which I agree with.
No, he's right. I mean, I like it because it's a silly, quaint thing. I don't know. And sometimes you just go, "Oh, baseball, you stupid, you pile of anachronisms. What are you doing? Why are you?" So
I would rather just go one way or the other with the interleague stuff. Like make them more separated, like reduce interleague play as much as possible, or just give everybody a DH and just call them the same thing.
I always like the idea of just having the geographical rival and have that be the only real interleague you play.
Yeah, I love that, yeah.
I mean, you get some weird ones, like, obviously you have the Vetter Cup, and you have the Braves and the Red Sox, but everyone else pretty much has a geographical rival that they can work with.
Yeah, you remember, like, Interleague Week? That was fun. I like that.
Yeah.
That was fun. Now it just happens. Who cares?
And now exactly. Like I'm going to go to a Nationals-Indians games next September, the end of the season. Like, there should be no instance where interleague play is happening.
Right.
I mean, it has to, obviously, because there's 15 teams in each league. I think that's part of the problem.
It's the Astros' fault is what we're getting at here.
I think it's perfectly fine until they moved over. I blame the Brewers first. They moved first. So,
so does that make it uneven? Wait, what did the Brewers do that made it uneven again?
they went from the AL to the NL. They were in the AL Central. And then they went into the NL. Then they added 2 teams?
Oh, right. Okay, yeah.
They added 2 teams? Is that what
I'm
going
to blame the Astros anyway. I don't like the Astros.
That's fine. I'm okay with that,
So Vittorius' other question. Can we concede at this moment that the more burning, urgent need is for a right-handed pitcher in the pen rather than outfield help? Or is recency bias distorting the picture here? Hot streaks for Greg Allen and Melky, cold streaks for Allen, Otero, and to some extent Simber. Yeah. I guess. No, I don't know. I think both are still a need. They're not going to get an outfielder now because Melky Cabrera is quote-unquote good, but we're stuck with them. I don't think they don't think they need an upgrade anymore. And he's going to collapse in October, and we're going to be real sad, and we're going to see it coming from a mile away. But is bullpen still a bigger need, you think? Or I feel like if you use the right relievers more often, you'd be fine. I don't know. I think Simber is going to be okay. Mm-hmm. I think obviously Brad Hand and Andrew Miller are really good. I don't know.
Simber has a very specific role, and I think he's been kind of pushed out of that a little bit at times.
Yeah.
Specifically throwing only to left or righties. I really only think that they need. I mean, again, I think they need. It would be nice to have another bat in the outfield. I think the only place they need is in right field, though, and they can't really do anything about that because Melky Cabrera keeps on hitting well. Center all year, I've been kind of really. My focus on that has just been defense. I mean, whatever you get out of whoever plays center, originally it was going to be Bradley Zimmer anyway, and my hope was he'd hit somewhere near, up like a 100 WRC plus sort of a thing. So my hope is he would just be an average hitter or something 90 to 100, something like that, and just play stellar defense. We're still getting that to a degree out of Greg Allen, and the nice little hot streak doesn't hurt either. And I mentioned this before the podcast, but maybe he's a better hitter than we're giving him credit. He just hasn't gotten a lot of playing time in the majors until now. But no, I think they do need another arm in the bullpen. I don't know what that looks like. I don't know if it's a trade. I don't know if it's just Shane Bieber. I don't know.
I mean, that's a big thing to consider. The fact that they're going to be shifting somebody over to the bullpen is probably going to be Bieber, who could be a really good long relief option.
No, I agree. I mean, he's got a terrible problem with the third time through the order, but he's a young pitcher too. And I don't know. I watched all the big hits he gave up. His most recent start was that Saturday or Sunday? I think it was Sunday.
Saturday? No, it was Sunday.
I think it was. Yeah. I mean, he just threw some cheese balls down the middle that just got rocked, and that's going to happen. I don't know how you tell him to not do that. Didn't I read a couple weeks ago about too much of a good thing with him throwing too many strikes almost? So he'll figure that out. But I don't know if he's. I mean, yeah, you don't start him in a playoff series, so he could get to the pen, maybe throw a little harder, get a little more velo and whatnot, and on his pitches, or you make a trade.
Yeah.
So I think option, yeah. And to be clear, also, I don't think it really matters what arm the pitcher that they get for the bullpen throws with. Like, I don't view Miller or Hand as a lefty reliever. I view them as a relief pitcher. Just like if you have a great righty, he can throw to lefties and righties just as well. Like, it's only the loogie that exists. The roogie is not a real thing, even though I've mentioned that about Adam Simber before.
Well, I think the thinking is that Oliver Perez is the loogie, right?
I guess, yeah, that's true. But
if you're going to lean one way or the other, you might as well get a right-handed. But I agree with you, yeah.
But I would prefer to have another arm, I guess, just because the name of the game in the postseason is putting up zeros. I mean, you'll get runs, right? But you can win a World Series winning games 3-2.
Right.
We did not see that a lot in the World Series this past year, but what can you do? Arms get tired. So I think more arms is better than less arms. Like you see what the Astros have done. Obviously, they have all these great guys who are amazing on a per inning, like a pitch per inning, or on a per inning basis rather, even their starters. But like, outside of Verlander and maybe Cole, I don't think any of their starters are going to get out of the fifth inning. Like McHugh or McCullers or any of these guys. I don't think they're going to be getting out of the fifth inning. So they're going to use their bullpen a lot, and they're going to use a lot of their bullpen. We're going to see a lot of Chris Davinsky. We're going to see a lot of what's his name? Zuna, I guess. But yeah, so that I think is it. It's something I wanted before, even if Allen were still good. And it turns out he's not good. So here we
Remember
are.
That week though, that was fun. Back to the question, I think it is kind of a shame that the outfield look like they think it's fixed. Somebody does somewhere. They're not going to upgrade it, which I think is really short-sighted, and we're going to regret it. But it's going to happen. They're not going to upgrade the outfield.
Charlie I'd be Morton, surprised if they had Colin any more positions. Colin McHugh is a reliever. Pardon me. Right. Go ahead. Sorry.
So our last question is from @Eclipse811. He said, "Do you see Greg Allen being a contributor on future teams?" I know you are the number one Greg Allen fan of the Let's Go Tribe community.
Me?
No, I know.
Who, me?
I know you love some Greg Allen talk.
I'm a big fan of his.
So what do you think, Merritt? Is he a contributor on future teams? I'm assuming he means future Indians teams, but who knows?
Well, I mean, the issue obviously is that next year they're going to have Leonys Martin, aren't they?
Oh, yeah. And Bradley Zimmer.
Yeah. And they're also going to have Bradley Zimmer. And they're going to have Bradley Zimmer. And also, so I just don't know where I don't know where he falls, I guess, talking about Allen. I mean, yeah. I like him. I think he is better than some people give him credit for. I don't know what his actual role is. That's a very vague question that Eclipse 811 asked. So
and don't forget Tyler Naquin too is another one. Maybe not a center fielder, but it's another outfielder who I completely forgot about until while you were talking. Right. He is technically alive out there somewhere, and he's going to be in the mix too. So there's just a lot of outfielders.
I think Allen's going to be. Yeah, he's definitely going to be a guy who will be riding the shuttle back and forth from Columbus a bit because he still has a bunch more options to burn than anyone else. I think if everyone's healthy next year and they break camp, I still think it's probably going to be Zimmer's job first. And if that's the case, then it's probably going to be him, and then actually maybe it'll be Martin in center, and then Zimmer in right. That'd be neat.
There was somebody in the Let's Go Tribe comments who said that'd be Allen in center and Zimmer in right. Like if they're both on there, I think even with Martin, I think don't you give Zimmer the starting center field job? He was great out there. Am I missing something? Like he's the fastest player alive.
I agree with you. The only reason I'd say no is just that it's a big right field, not huge right. Like it's not quite Fenway Park. But also, I think he has a better arm than anyone else in that theoretical outfield. So that's, I think, why you give it to Zimmer. The only issue there is, just having too many center fielders can always be a bad thing. We saw what happened with Mike Cameron and Carlos Beltran many years ago. Guys don't know who the boss is, and so they don't call each other off. But that would be an amazing outfield, theoretically. Nothing would drop ever, which would be ideal. So, no, I think he has a role as a fourth outfielder. I still can't tell if he's a starter or not. He's been very good lately, but he still doesn't hit the ball very hard. He hits a lot of ground balls, and he plays baseball like someone who's a fourth outfielder. So, yeah, a role that has value. I'd rather he be on the team than Rajai Davis at this point. That is my thought.
Can we talk about how much of it I miss Bradley Zimmer? Because it's a lot. Like he's so fun.
Man. He was great. Like of all the players that are injured that I miss, obviously number one is Lonnie Chisenhall, and number two is obviously Cody Anderson.
Our big sweaty son.
The largest adult son we have. He was so sweaty.
Big sweaty big rig.
Oh man, just honk. Why are you sweating so much? Why are you so sweaty?